Welcome back to Fate Tracks.
Holy shit.
I ruined it. Welcome back to Straight Facts. It is Wednesday. Hit the like buttons and subscribe. I'm joined by my brilliant two guests on a Wednesday. I always look forward to this with man like Mo and the Lawless in the house. How are you both?
Good, mate. Good. Big congratulations to Mo on the Inter win. Big win for you lot. So, yeah, happy for you, my friend, and happy to be back on another show, another week. Big news to discuss.
Mama,
Yes.
if you're watching, I made it. December 2021, I made an appearance on a call-in show on the Football Terrace. I'm on the intro of Straight Facts on the Football Terrace on 2024. Mama, if you're watching, I made it. Alhamdulillah. I made it. Thank you, everybody.
Oh, you new intro. I didn't even clock. I was too busy.
Yeah, Mama, I made it. Alhamdulillah. 20K on my channel. Inter winning the 20th league title. We are equal to Man United now. No Man United fan can chat with me about a bigger club or whatever. We passed Liverpool. We have 20 league titles, 2 stars. Man City might get their star this year. We have a treble, 6 European Cups, 3 Champions Leagues, a treble. So Liverpool fans, come chat to me now when you get a treble. Man United fans, come chat to me when you get more European trophies than myself. But Mama, I made it. I'm here.
That was like a compliment and a dig all at the same time there from Mo. Like, yeah, nice. Appreciate it, mate. Appreciate it. So in Italy, is it 2 stars every time? Every 10
One
titles
every 10. One every 10.
Right, because I saw a meme that went out where like Juve were laughing that they've had their 2 stars since the 80s, and I was like, I don't know what that means. So yeah, okay, I get it now. I understand. I was as confused by that as I am that look between the H and L on your keyboard. I'm very confused by that weird trend as well. I don't get it. Maybe I'm old, but yes, loads to go through today. Lots to talk. Obviously, the fallout of last night, Arsenal's historic win over Chelsea. Pochettino pending sacking, which is now being discussed. I always find it so interesting that the Chelsea media go, no, he can't be sacked. He can't be sacked. He can't be sacked. You get one specific win and suddenly the whole world changes to his job is no longer safe. It couldn't, one game isn't going to change it, but we're going to go into that. We're going to look at slot to Liverpool, the Amorin story involving West Ham United as well. So lots to sink our teeth into today. But I wanted to start with my beloved Manchester United. And no, we're not going to drag over the Coventry game anymore. I think that's been done to death this week by everybody on all platforms. But I want to read something to you both. And I want to get your take on this. And viewers, I really want your opinions on this. This is coming from a fairly credible source, Alan Nixon, who says that Jason Wilcott, who is now the technical director at the club, started on Monday, has informed Erik ten Hag that he must now start to play the Manchester United's new style of football, starting in this game against Sheffield United. If Ten Hag does not deliver a possession-based style of play in the remaining weeks of the season, his future is certainly limited. Essentially, when you read the full report, saying the club, they don't want to waste any time in terms of drilling it into the players now. This is how we're going to be performing moving forward. So they want the holes in the midfield fixed. Of course, you can counter when there's a need to counter, but we want to be a possession-based team, and they want Ten Hag to start to implement that now, whether he stays or not. I want to throw it out to you two. Do you think that's the right approach from the new ownership to say, we're not going to waste any more time playing this nonsense way. We want to start from today of trying to maintain more possession, be better on the ball, and stop having such holes all over the pitch. What do you boys make of that story?
I did it because we actually did it with Big Sam back in his last season. They said, you got to play the West Ham way, you got to play attacking football, you're gone. And he played some of the best football I've ever seen. But we did that at the start of the season. This is near the end of the season when the player's been playing a certain way. And now with however many games to go, 4 or 5 games to go, you've now got to switch it up and try and coach them in this new style. Now, I understand is if you're already feeling like, you know what, we're kind of done with this manager anyway, but we're going to give him this little, this little carrot to maybe give him a chance, then, I can understand it, but I don't know how realistic it is expectation-wise. And I think the writing must be on the wall then for him, because I can't see him taking that well.
Who released that?
Comes from a journalist called to Alan Nixon, but it's in conjunction with a number of things that Wilcott has already come in and informed the club. So I already think Wilcott's dealing with Barada and Ashworth, even though they're not officially in the jobs. Everyone that thinks they're not doing any work's crazy. They've also stated this week that they're willing to get rid of almost anybody at the club for the right price this summer. And every player that they keep and or buy will have to be able to play possession-based football. Okay. That's what we're now hearing is going to be the foundation of what we do. And I think they're starting to make an impact already. And I'm personally quite intrigued and excited by it.
I am very, listen, I'm going to twist this and look at it from a crazy. I swear to God, this is the first time, by the way, I hear about this when Terry told me. This is how I thought about it. I went and I looked at Man United fixtures. You play Sheffield, you play Burnley, and you play Crystal Palace before you play Newcastle and Arsenal. I believe this is a PR stunt from the club with agreement with Ten Hag, because you know that in the next 3 games, Manchester United will have the majority of the position, most likely, win or lose. So I think they are preparing the fans for Ten Hag managing next season. He's going to go next 3 games. This is crazy. I swear to God, it just came to my mind. Man United fans, they are giving you the carrot. Now, Man United fans, they are giving you the carrot. This guy in the next 3 games, he's going to have the majority of the position. The stats will say Man United 60% ball position against Burnley, against Sheffield, and against Crystal Palace. Win or lose, but they're going to say he played the style of play. So we might give him the next year. We might give him some players next year to see what he's going to do.
Do you think the fans will fall for that, though, Mo? Because Terry will be able to say, because surely it's not just about the number, the stat of.
Do you know why they will, Dan?
Yes,
yes. You know why they will? Do you know why they will? Because Terry sits here in every show and say, by the way, I want to see the new board work. I'm not gonna judge him until they actually fail. I'm gonna trust the new guys, which is he has the right to do that. He has, like, there is no evidence for him to say these guys have failed before they actually fail. It's not like they're out before they actually fail. So they are actually, because the manager's market is so bad at the current moment, they might need to stick with Ten Hag, but they have to find a way to convince the fans. Well, we might need to keep this guy, guys.
So I wouldn't necessarily call it PR. There's 2 things I'd throw back at this. Firstly, Burnley had 60% of the ball against us when we played them earlier on in the season. So we couldn't hold the ball against them. We did have 60% of the ball against Sheffield United and Crystal Palace, respectively, though. So there's you're 2/3 right. Okay. Not so much in the Burnley game as an example. But I don't think Man United fans would be hoodwinked, and I don't think this ownership are going to be silly enough to try and pull the wool over anybody's eyes this quickly. There's possession-based football, and then there is possession-based football where you look dangerous, where you look like you're. Even if the players can't, but there's a comment that came through earlier saying, imagine trying to do that with the likes of Bruno and McTominay. Yeah. And I think you can always see a manager's style that isn't coming off because the players are not good enough versus a manager's style, which in itself is very, very poor. So it isn't just about us having 60% of the ball in the game. It's what we do with that ball. It's the decision-making on the ball. And the more important thing for me is the position of our players in and out of possession. Those are the things which I'm really intrigued to see if this story holds any water. Now, I hope this story is true, and I hope that we're putting out this message now to Taylor Ten Hag, look, this is how we're going to play moving forward. Let's start it from today. This message should have been sent into the dressing room in September after we saw our midfield was non-existent in the first 3 or 4 games. The message should have come from the board, stop playing this way. It's as simple as that. They're the ones who run the club, not the manager. Managers don't run football clubs in 2024. The technical and sporting directors do. And if KJ was posting videos or doing things on the Football Terrace platform that I didn't like and I didn't think was working, I wouldn't leave it for a year to see if it came alive. You'd look at it and go, no, this doesn't work. We are stopping this right now. And I would come out and make that executive decision. So I'm very happy to see this. I'm very aware that I'm not going to have the wall pulled over my eyes. If we play well and win our next couple of games, that isn't going to be enough for me to go, oh yeah, we've got to keep this manager. If we change our system and our style and our formation slightly in and out of possession, and we do well in these next few games, and we do well against some of the bigger teams towards the end of the season, then there is a conversation. I've been very fair all along with Ten Hag that it's the way he's got us playing football that I have a real big issue with. I do think it's easier for a complete overhaul with him and his coaching staff gone. But the only way I was going to ever personally, just on my own personal level, entertain the idea of keeping him is if he changed how we were playing, because how he currently plays isn't going to work, even if you improve the personnel across the park. We may win a few more games and lose a few less. But if you don't have a midfield, and then you don't have anyone sitting in midfield positions, you're going to lose football matches. So it's got to be criticised. But I like the sound of what they're talking about at the moment. And sometimes I feel like they're in my head. Like they say things that I've just been thinking about and talking about for years. And the one comment I loved from Wilcock the other day in the media briefing was very much, we are going to be aligning all the football at the club from our youngest academy group right up to our first team. And every player profile we go out and buy and we bring in has to suit that style of play. And it just makes me emotional because I've been asking for this for a fucking decade. Maybe not using those words. I think the words we use in football have somewhat changed in the last 10 years. But I've just looked at Man United as being an absolute mess in the last. So Jim said it the other day that his words were, we can't keep jumping from manager to manager. We have to be patient. And people have misinterpreted that as always keeping Erik. No, he's saying that we need to pick a style of football as a club and stick to that irrespective of who the manager is, as opposed to going from an LVG to a Jose to an Ollie to a Ten Hag. And his words were, because you create a Frankenstein squad. And that's a real big problem for us, is that our squad is not suited to any one particular manager or any one particular style. So whoever comes in, this is why a genuine rebuild is needed, because this squad is still an amalgamation of 3 or 4 different styles and philosophies all rolled into one. And it's why we're the biggest mess in the Premier League, pound for pound. Obviously, we spend a lot of money, so we're still up near the higher end of the table when we're in an FA Cup final. But yeah, I'm personally, as a United fan, I'm really encouraged by what they're saying. But of course,
have to give them the benefit of the doubt, of course.
Yeah,
otherwise you'll start supporting the club. Like you, as a Man United fan, you'll have to believe what they say. We don't. You, as a Man United fan, you'll have to, right? You are someone who supports the club at the end, and you got what you wished for. We've been watching you for years. You wanted new owners, and you have to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I wouldn't say I believe them,
but for me, if my owner comes out and say this, now we have to be patient and stuff like this, I'll be livid. If I want this manager out and this owner comes in, I'll be livid.
But this isn't what. So this is the thing. You can't judge us versus Inter. The same as I look at Liverpool. We're going to move on to Liverpool in a minute. But I keep hearing Liverpool fans say, "Oh, start of a new rebuild." No, you're a win now team. You've got a squad that's challenging for the Premier League. You've got a team that will be joint top of the league tonight. If you win, you're not starting a new project. You're at the top of the tree.
Yeah.
Man United's scenario is different. We are broken. We have a disjointed squad, a backroom team that's been ruined, and we're overhauling everything. So there has to be an element of patience as we build the foundations to grow from. I get you 100%. If Inzaghi leaves this summer to manage Italy or manage whoever, and you bring a new guy in, I totally get an Inter fan saying, well, I ain't waiting 3 years to challenge for a title again. And in 2 to 3 years' time as a United fan, hopefully we've built a really good squad. The style of football is down. And then you start to judge the manager based on results. And is he delivering? And do I think he should stay or do I think he should go? Every club has got to look at it. You know, you can't look at every club like in a monolithic way. You really have to judge them on their current situation. So I'm not going to believe everything they say. I'm going to take them at their word to begin with, because the new ownership have done nothing for me to damage my trust towards them. But I will judge them based on the proof that's in the pudding, if that makes sense. So,
but you want the manager out. The majority of you want the manager out. Now comes your owner and says we have to be patient. There comes your whatever the other guy is, whoever he's in the club, says that Ten Hag has to play position-based football. There's 5 games left in the league, and I'm like, I'll be looking around saying, why are you saying this today?
So again, okay. So firstly, he didn't say, this is where you misinterpret. Maybe you didn't hear what I said properly. I don't mean to be condescending.
It's all right.
Throwback. Throwback.
I'm not quitting.
When Sir Jim was talking about patience, he was talking about the complete and utter overall rebuild of the football club. He wasn't saying you have to be patient specifically with a manager that's failing. People have just put his words into that box without actually listening to the overarching interview. And I think that's what's really key here. That to create a style of football that is uniform from the top to bottom in our football club is going to take some years because it's been missing for a decade. That is what we need to be patient with. Any Man United fan that thinks we could go and hire the best manager in the world this summer, sign 3 world-class players and challenge for the Premier League, personally, I think you're either deliberately lying so you can be angry later on down the line, or you're an idiot. No, if you believe that, you're crazy. That is what they mean by patience. It's going to take time to build a squad that is capable of going toe-to-toe with this City and Arsenal team and this Liverpool team in a title race. And I think we all agree with that. However, that doesn't mean we have to be patient next season. If we're sitting 15th and the manager they brought in is failing, we can definitely ask for him to be moved on if the style of football hasn't got better and he's losing more games than we did this season. There is a balance in saying you have to be patient. It doesn't mean patient with everything, no matter the context. That for me is my interpretation.
But then why, if it was as easy as for them to say to Ten Hag, listen, you've got to play this more attractive possession-based attacking football, and it's just easier than why hasn't he done that? What is the reason?
Why today? Why 5 games left in the season? Well, when the manager's market is going
hang on. The reason why it started now is the people have just started their jobs. They're just having the meetings with him. So the thing is this: do you know what the job that you started recently, Mo?
Yeah, what about it?
You know, the week before, the month before, 6 months before you started, did you start to do any work in there? Did you give any directions? Did you complete any work?
Nah.
So you can't have a go at Wilcott for this week making a demand when he's only just started this week. No one's, do you know what I'm saying? Like he's gone in there this week. No, what do you mean? Oh my God!
Okay.
How can he?
I think you're missing my point and Lawless to believe your owners.
No, it's not about believing the owners.
Lawless, am I crazy, Lawless? Like
no,
5 games left in the season.
Crazy,
the guy was just hired.
Mo, I get you think it's a publicity stunt.
Exactly.
But I think, hang on a minute. But you're not listening. It's not about, I believe my owners. I don't believe this is about keeping Ten Hag at the club. I believe this is the new ownership saying we start from today to play the way we want to move forward as a football club. Why wait until the summer to start? You can start now. There's no reason. You know, when people say, I'm going to start a diet on Monday, most of those people don't continue the diet. If you're going to start a diet, if you're going to give up smoking, if you're going to change your life, you do it there and then. You don't go, I'm going to wait a week. I'm going to wait 2 weeks. I'm going to wait 3 months. Then I'm going to fix myself. You start doing it straight away. For me, that's what we need to do. I don't believe there is a catch chance in hell that Ten Hag is our manager next year. The same reports, if you read them, have stated he's a dead man walking anyway. So it's just about the club stating that we want to move away from what we're doing now and start the new regime straight away. But
why not just sack him now? Why not just sack? And this is the thing, the games that owners play. Do you know what I mean? We've got it's all PR. We can't be. We need to have a good reason to sack him. We need to have that excuse of, he didn't implement how we wanted to play, so we're justified sacking him. You have the right to sack him. If you don't want him,
thank you, Lawless. So that as well is a PR stunt as well.
But it's not a PR stunt. There's a reason. There's a big reason why we're not sacking him, and it's a smart reason, a very smart reason. There's 2 or 3 clubs that are looking at Ten Hag that want him. I think we're better off. No one's going to come in now and change it, right? I don't think we're going to get that much better no matter what goes on. My point of view is this: if Ajax really want him, it looks like they might end up going for Potter in the end. But if a club actually wants him and comes in for him, it may stop us sacking him and paying out £10 million in comp. They may end up paying us compensation for the geezer. Chelsea did this exact same thing with Sarri. They held on from sacking Sarri. Even when it went into the summer, he stayed a bit longer than everybody thought. Because rather than paying out £18 million in comp, they got paid £10 million by Juve for him to go. So not everything is again, I'm a United fan, so I'm reading into a lot more of this. I understand the PR element. Like I've said, I'm not believing carte blanche everything that's being said. I like what's been said. The proof's going to be in the pudding for me. But I will say this now, and I'll do a little £100 bet on charity. Ten Hag is not going to be Manchester United's manager next season. Win, lose, or draw that FA Cup final.
Clip it.
No, do you accept the bet, Mo?
I don't bet. Haram. Bet haram.
Bro, you drink alcohol. What are you talking about?
Bet is haram. That's different.
That's more haram. Betting is more.
That's more.
Fair enough.
But wait, are you saying by the first game of the season?
No, I just wanted people to clip it because it's not on you. You don't sack. People just don't understand this. And I actually, Terry Flowers is not going to go to Manchester United and sack or hire Ten Hag. He's not the one, right? But for people to say that, yeah, Terry said he's going to be sacked. Listen, you don't know Terry. He might stay at the end. Some people might not accept the job at Man United, as we spoke before. You might end up with only that is the option, Erik Ten Hag. Graham Potter, and I want to add something to this because I had this discussion with Hassan the other day. If Man United get the next one wrong, banter era is about to start. You are not in a banter era because you still play. That's what Man United fans don't understand.
What?
You aren't in a banter era, bro.
What?
Come on, bro.
I swear they are not. They are not in a banter era.
Why? How can you say
explain
that?
to you? A banter era isn't coming second in the league twice and making Champions League quarterfinal and signing Jadon Sancho for 70 million and getting good players in and signing this and that. A banter era is what Liverpool did, signing Ricky Lambert, getting Balotelli, getting Danny Ings, getting Fabio Borini. That's called the banter era, bro. Not making European football. Man United fans, and I said that before, because you have seen one manager in your life, successful manager, Alex Ferguson, you think that is football, right? I've seen Alex Ferguson, and since then, they haven't had a good manager. However, these not good managers still came second, won FA Cups, made it to Champions Leagues, played Europe, won a Europa League, signed superstars, right? Have people sold jerseys with millions and millions. You haven't seen a banter era. A banter era is what Inter went after the treble, is what Liverpool went after the Champions League final in 2007. Is signing players thinking that they are superstars, but they're not, or they're going to fix your club. You guys haven't seen a banter era is you being 6, 7, like Arsenal 7 years. You know Arsenal 7 years? Signing Mustafi and thinking we're signing a World Cup winner, but still ending 7th or 8th. You guys, that smile from Terry is what tells me that Man United fans don't know what a banter era. You think that is a banter era. A banter era is looming if you get the next guy wrong because your assets are, and it doesn't matter what money you spend.
Where I disagree with you is this. I think we're in a banter era, but I understand that my definition and your definition of a banter era are different, and I think we can leave it there. We don't need to waste any time debating that. If we don't get the next manager right, but we are structuring the club correctly, it's not the end of the world. And what I mean by that is, say we pick a style of play, say we're buying the right players for that style of play. We're not buying a bunch of 21-year-olds. We're buying a good mixture of people. But whoever the manager is, we don't even need to name him because it would trigger people in the comment section. He comes in and just is not quite good enough. You then just get a new manager in. As long as you are not, again, then changing everything, we will still improve gradually over time. If we will continue to invest as we have done. The problem with our investment over the last 10 years is that every 2 years we start investing in a new style of football and players for that style, as opposed to continuing in one straight line. So I get your point, but I don't see the next manager failing, completely ending Man United and making us even worse. In my view, we're just going to end up staying in and around where we are, which in my opinion is a banter era and is still awful to be in. But I don't think one more foul manager and we're going to suddenly drop to like 12th in the league. I don't see that happening personally.
But the following manager, now, if the next manager fails, like you said, and you replace them, same style of play, you got that structure, that's all well and good. But then if that manager fails, then you have to question the overall project.
No, I agree. I totally agree. And look, if we go through 2 or 3 managers in the next 5 years, this project doesn't work, we stay where we are, or we get worse, then they haven't delivered against it. What they're saying is still not wrong. But at the same time, I can give, all 3 of us could take the ingredients and the directions that Gordon Ramsay gives us to cook a meal. Doesn't mean it's going to come out looking or tasting anything like Gordon Ramsay's, because you've still got to have the skills to apply it. And the Man United hierarchy right now are not talking about things in any different way to the other successful teams. So everything they're speaking about where I see rivals go, that's stupid. No, your club does it. That won't work. Your club does it and your club's successful. It's about how you apply it in reality, because we all know things in theory, don't we? Do you know what I mean? We can all read a manual and go, I understand how that works. Then you try and do it and it doesn't quite. That's why DIY is so lucrative for builders, because people mess their houses up, right? When they try and do shit around their house themselves. But look, I'm going to judge them based on the proof in the pudding. I love what they're saying. I love what they're doing, but there's a long way to go yet. Really good discussion, guys. Viewers, give us your thoughts and your feelings on that in the comment section below. Some super chats on it here. First one says, Wilcott is a football man and he will know it will take time to formulate his report. I don't see his impact starting until the end of the season, in my opinion. Thank you, Akash. Nice to have Arnie Slot on the panel.
I've gone from Ten Hag to Arnie Slot. Like
any bald white man, basically. Yeah,
exactly.
Ten Hag can play possession, but he's playing counter to make certain players happy, like Rashford. Well, he isn't making Rashford happy, though, is he? He's lost the squad, and he's trying to make him happy by playing how the players want. But they'd be happy then, wouldn't they? They're not. So I don't quite agree with that. So you'll take my bet call, £100 to charity. Ten Hag won't be here next season. United has been in its banter era for 10 years. Yeah, it's just, I think banter era is, I think it's almost, it's like a spectrum, because the banter era for Man United would be one of the greatest periods in Tottenham's club's history.
Yes.
So it's hard to compare it. And it's true. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. Ten Hag is staying with 25% pay cut. You men are done. Okay. With that report, I read that report today. Where'd that come from? I'm gonna Google it now. Let's put 25% into the search. I did read that today as well. That is from ESPN Netherlands. So that is what the ESPN Netherlands believe.
That's his cousin running that account, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, well, I will say this as well. Everyone at Man United, because we're not in the Champions League next year, gets a pay cut. It doesn't state that he is staying next year with a pay cut. It says everyone gets one at the club. So you're misrepresenting the article. Do managers ruin United, or does United ruin managers? Combination of the two.
Mm-hmm.
Combination of the two. Moving on to Liverpool before we get on to yesterday's game and tonight's games. Slot is now linked. I had a comment here from Sean. Says, didn't you say O'Neill? No, a really big Liverpool source said that O'Neill had been interviewed. Nobody said that O'Neill was getting the job. And that was played down yesterday. But Slot was then, Klopp then come out and, sorry, not Klopp. Fabrizio came out and said Slot is now being interviewed, which was again by the Liverpool press played down yesterday afternoon. But now it has been confirmed that the clubs and manager are all in negotiations with each other. And it does feel now like Slot will become the new Liverpool manager. Thoughts on that, gentlemen?
It's okay. It's okay, Liverpool fans. They'll be all right. They'll get fourth, they'll get fifth. It's fine. It's fine. Listen, I don't know a lot about Arne Slot, but it's to be honest with you, if again Arne Slot, like he won the league, was finer than all of this. It's a risk. Is it a calculated risk? It might be, but to be honest with you, Liverpool fans really cried and told everyone, we want to trust this guy, Mike Edwards, or whatever. We want to trust this guy, Michael Edwards. And now all of them are flipping on him because Amorin is not being considered or whatever. You know what I mean? So Arne Slot now, you got to trust Michael Edwards. He's the one who got you the good players. I don't know a lot about Arne Slot. They said he have a style of play. But I believe Liverpool are going to fall down a little bit. Liverpool aren't challenging for the league. Liverpool aren't going to be challenging for the league next season because it's very hard to come to the Premier League and challenge from the first season. He isn't Mourinho. Mourinho, when he came to Chelsea, he won the Champions League. And before that, he won the Europa League and he won the league with Porto. Arne Slot is not that guy. It's going to be tough because your squad needs a lot changes. Some of the older players, I don't know if they're going to stay or not. Some of the players need development. Listen, I don't know a lot about Arne Slot. I would have said Zerbi deserve a better shot for them, in my opinion. That's my opinion, but I know Ornstein said that Zerbi isn't on the short list. Listen, Liverpool are going through tough times, and anybody that gonna follow Klopp might not succeed as Klopp, and you have to accept that, in my opinion. It's very hard to follow Jurgen Klopp, to be honest. That's all I'm have to say. It's same. It's gonna be the same for Pep Guardiola.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I agree, man. It's a massive risk, and he's gonna play good football, you know, if that's what they want. But to follow Klopp, that's gonna be a tough job. He might be a surprise package, but yeah, if I'm a Liverpool fan, that doesn't excite me. You know, they've gone from Xavi Alonso to Amorim now to Slot. It just seems like they're really just trying to get who they can get, who's going to play decent football. But it doesn't inspire me that as a manager that is going to maintain that title challenge and you know, basically follow on from Klopp, unless they're really going to give him a lot of money and they're going to have like Terry calls for at Man United, the structure behind him. Yeah, I wouldn't be excited if I was a Liverpool fan personally. Yeah, he's someone we've been linked with, and he wasn't my first choice as for West Ham option. So, yeah, if it's just about playing good football, I'm sure he'll deliver that. But like Mo said, a lot of restructuring in that squad. I think they're going to have to go backwards to go forwards, and they could be entering a Man United period, you know?
4 years of managerial experience, by the way. He won one league title with Feyenoord. Yeah, look good. This is the market you have.
He's been managing since 2016.
No, he was an interim in 2016 once for half a year. That's it.
For who? Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah. So he started in 2016.
He started 2019.
He
started 2019 as an actual manager.
Yeah, so I'm reading that now. Yeah. But what about Michael Edwards? Like, he's gone back in the club. This man is renowned for being impeccable at his job. Mm-hmm. Surely they wouldn't be silly enough to hire a relatively inexperienced manager who they don't believe can handle Liverpool. Surely they're going to hire a manager who is going to be a fit with the squad, and it isn't going to need restructuring. It isn't going to need rebuilding. It's going to be. I'm not saying he'll be able to just take on and do what Klopp did, because Klopp is world class, and I don't think there's anybody available in the world near Klopp's level. All the other top class, world class managers are at clubs, and they're not leaving. Inzaghi isn't leaving Inter Milan. He's made that clear. Simeone isn't. Zidane don't want to come near England. Pep's unattainable. Carlo Ancelotti's unattainable. You could argue Hansi Flick is an example of someone they could go for. But outside of Hansi Flick, genuinely, they've been rejected by Alonso. They've been rejected by Amorin. And who else did they everyone has essentially been rejected by Nagelsmann if you wanted him, because he chose to stay with Germany. So I sort of look at it, and I don't think I get your criticism, gents. I'm not saying your thoughts and feelings are wrong at all. I completely get where you're coming from. But I look at who's running Liverpool, and I just think, surely they're too smart, too shrewd, too clever to make that big of a mistake. Or am I putting too much stock in Edwards?
I think. Do you think is what the fact that it's not even their second choice, like that as well? Like, I guess Edwards is highly rated, but obviously they had their heart set on Alonso. So the fact that they've then had to drop down to then Amorin and then now Slot, he's not, anywhere near their first choice.
That's a great point. So that's a really
I was actually about to say the same, Lawless. The fact that
don't try and steal Lawless's thunder. Come on.
They are the fact that they're interviewing this. I think about one manager. This Arne Slot might be the Ange Postecoglou. Like Spurs interviewed like 50,000 managers, and then at the end ended with Ange Postecoglou, and a lot of Spurs fans he's a hit. He's a good manager, right? Arne Slot might be the guy. But for some Liverpool fans to sit here and tell me that you're confident, I think that's crazy, in my opinion, because he wasn't even your second choice.
So, looks like kind of like the third choice at the minute. A few Liverpool fans in the comments saying that that Amorin didn't reject you. You guys offered him a deal, and he said no to it.
Yeah,
that's rejecting you. He wanted a better deal, and he said no, I'm worth more than that. So whether or not you could spin it that, well, Liverpool are rejecting him because we're not offering him the salary that he wants, but you made him an offer before you started speaking to Slot. And I do think what's interesting with Liverpool is that they have interviewed. I spoke to a few journalists yesterday. When the news broke so the news come out a little bit arse about tit. They did interview Gary O'Neill for the role, but by the time the news broke from the big Liverpool account, Dave at the Cop, Liverpool had already decided they weren't going to pursue it any further. So it ended up in a situation where it made Dave look a little bit like he was not making it up, but it got shut down very quickly. But at the same time, it does tell you that maybe you guys are right. Maybe they don't have a clear idea since Alonso and Amorin have said no about who they want. But I don't.
Maybe Liverpool aren't as attractive as what they think they are. If Amorim only is there, he wants more money. Maybe the club is not as attractive as what they think. Has anybody thought about that?
Alonso even played for Liverpool and still wasn't played.
Bro, if you're going in and you're telling these guys, I want more money, that means you don't value the club as high. You're there for you want more money. If he chooses West Ham over Liverpool because of the money, that doesn't mean West Ham are bigger than Liverpool. It just means he's not attracted to Liverpool. He doesn't see himself going to Liverpool. I'm just using the logic. I know people were to get triggered. I'm using the logic, right? I'm using the logic. If I want a car, right, I will pay the extra money a little bit for it, right? But if I don't care, I'll choose the cheaper one, right? If I don't care, I'll choose the cheaper one. For him, he rejected Liverpool.
Nice,
that's Terry. That's you saying. Terry, you literally said that. He rejected. You said he rejected Liverpool because he wanted more money. I didn't. The guy who coaches Sporting Lisbon.
But I didn't mention West Ham being a cheap car. I didn't mention West Ham at all. Don't put that in my mouth.
Come on, I'm not. With all due respect, we know what I'm talking about. Maybe Liverpool aren't as attractive as what they think they are. Because if they are as attractive and the price is attractive, the guy would certainly sacrifice a little bit of money.
Yeah, you would be like just the prestige of getting to manage such a club like Liverpool.
Yes.
Do you not see it maybe the other way, though? I mean, I'm a Man United fan defending Liverpool here, but I feel like I need to. Do you not think maybe some of the managers are thinking, I don't want to be the guy after Klopp. I want to be the person after the guy that comes after Klopp? Would it not be easier to manage Liverpool after the next guy potentially?
True. I think it depends on if you back yourself as being able to manage that group of players. Because I think they're, especially with someone like Slot, they could be in a situation like Moyes at Man United, where you're going in trying to tell all these players, right, this is how we're playing, this is what I want to do. And they're like, who are you and what have you won? Like, we've been doing this under Klopp. This is how Klopp tells us how to do this. Klopp has us playing like this. Klopp has us training like this. Do you know what I mean? And it just becomes hard to be the man to come in afterwards unless you've got serious credentials that those big players have to respect. And if you are a Slot, I don't think you've got that. You know what I mean? The same way if Gary O'Neill would have went in there. And I think that's the problem they're going to find themselves in.
Maybe he knows that Salah is leaving.
Do you guys see Liverpool going backwards next year, like falling out of title races, top 4 races? How do you see the impact of Klopp leaving going, in your opinion?
Top 4. Yeah, and I'm gonna take a step further. You might miss out on top 4.
Yeah, I mean, but that's let's think back. First season under the new manager, I don't think that's a disaster. Like in this new post-Klopp era, if they're challenging for top 4 first season after Klopp, I don't think you can look at that and go, "Oh my God, it's disastrous. They've gone massively backwards." As long as they can build on that, like I always like to give new managers a first season grace. You know what I mean? If they're down there, you know, trying to battle for 6th, then you might look at it and go, yeah, maybe that's a bigger step backwards. But I don't think that's that bad.
Can I add something to this? If the next manager doesn't make Champions League football, like, let's establish something. If Jurgen Klopp stays at Liverpool, miraculously, we all believe that Liverpool will still be in a title race next season. Right? We all believe that, right?
Yes.
So if Jurgen Klopp leaves and the new manager is coming in and they don't make top 4, does that mean Klopp really failed the club? Klopp left the club at a tough time. Jurgen Klopp really feel for himself, which is something I've been saying since they announced it before, that Klopp is going in this market. He built this project. He built this team when he joined in 2015. The team was in the trenches and he built it. You can argue, we can sit here and say, has he been successful? Has he been underachieving, overachieving? It doesn't matter. But the fact that we're sitting here talking about Liverpool winning the title with 5 games left, right, with a new squad, new midfield, a rebuild, is an achievement for the guy, right? 1 Champions League. Has he been selfish? Should he have stayed 1 more year at least? because the market isn't so attractive at the current moment.
Yeah, but
because
he's tired.
Sure,
he's tired.
What does
he's
that
tired.
mean, Terry? Okay, you're joking, right? Again, I know. Okay, you're being sarcastic. I'm being serious, right? And I'm sure that he left. He announced leaving, and I'm sure he spoke about we'll get Xabi Alonso, because all the talks were about Xabi Alonso, and he's like, I'm leaving you in good hands. Xabi Alonso is a good coach. But now we're going down to the third candidate on this slot. We're going to Gary O'Neill. Gary O'Neill being considered for Liverpool Football Club after the massive rebuild that he did over 9 years, right? If the next manager is not guaranteed success, that might destroy the project, right? It might. So Jurgen Klopp, isn't he? Because, by the way, I said that when he announced, I said,
are you saying Jurgen
Klopp is selfish?
Can I boil down what you're saying? You boiling it down to saying he's being selfish, and Jurgen Klopp really could be damaging Liverpool. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, 100%.
Why nobody's looking at it?
Why nobody's looking at it this way?
Yeah, I think that's a harsh way to put it. If he really is burnt out, but if you're Klopp
back, you're literally patting on Liverpool's fans back.
No, listen, I'm agreeing with you to a degree. I agree that if I'm Klopp, I should be looking at this and going, wow, they've missed out their first choice, their second choice. Now they're going to third choice. I'm going to stay one more year. Let me give them one more year, that 10th year, just to have that season to smooth that transition. Because he's kind of put them in a bad position. I'm not saying like he was wrong to do that, because look, if you're done, if you're checked out, you're checked out. But he can at least have that one more season and just go, right, let's do this, and then we'll see what manager you can get. You've got a year now to get that next man in. Do you know what I mean? So I agree to a degree.
Sorry, I was just massaging.
I know a lot of people. Listen, wallahi, Liverpool fans. I know you guys are, and again, coming from someone who doesn't support the Premier League team. I have no agendas. Okay, I have some. And I know you guys have seen only Jurgen Klopp as a successful manager in your lifetime. The majority of you, not the older guys. And I know you guys love him so much. And he's your most successful guy. But sometimes you'll have to value your club more than the manager. Don't be attached to personnel. Just be attached to the club. Jurgen Klopp should stay at the club one more year. If the manager's market is like this, why not Jurgen Klopp take one for the team? Stay one more year in the club until a better manager comes in. Why not? Wallah al-Azim, I'm not saying this only here. I said that to Hussam to his face. And he asked me a question. He said, Mo, do you think we should be on our knees to beg Jurgen Klopp to stay? I said, you should fly a plane instead of FSG out to say Klopp stay. I'm 100% sure. Why is he leaving now? Why is this an agenda? If you can't find a manager, and I'm telling you what Liverpool fans are doing now. They are doing now the copium. You know what? Yeah, Arne Slot is good. But if you asked any of them, when he announced he's leaving, you're getting Arne Slot. They're like, what? No. We want Klopp to stay.
There's a lot of Liverpool fans online, as Joshua Jack points out here, that are already slot out. That already do not want him at the club.
Whose fault is this, Terry? Say, whose fault is this that they're in this place? Whose fault?
What do you mean?
Whose fault is it? Whose fault is it they are in this place?
No, listen, I would love to shit on Jurgen Klopp because it'd be a laugh as a Man United fan. But Jurgen Klopp doesn't have to stay. It's not on Jurgen Klopp that there's not a plethora of manager available who is as good as him. Now, I understand saying give it another year, but where we're maybe being a little bit unfair, maybe he's already done that. Maybe he wanted to leave at the end of last season, but he gave it another year. Maybe he wanted to leave at the end of the season where they nearly won the quad, but he gave it another year or so. And there's only what if by this time next year they're still not great candidates? Has he got to do another year? And where do you draw a line? At the end of the day, Liverpool have got to move on. And sometimes, like my suggestion, if they're not happy with any of the managers, they should go with Pep Linders for a year and then see who's available. I think it was, I can't remember his name. LB, I think, maybe suggested that yesterday. And I thought about it and thought, you know what? If someone like a Slot really isn't of the standard, if you're talking to Gary O'Neill's, keep everything you've currently got together as best you can. Maybe Alonso's available in a year's time. Maybe Ancelotti becomes available in a year's time. Maybe Zidane changes his mind in a year's time. There could be somebody else available in the market that you could bring in So sometimes, they did that with players, Liverpool, very well, where they didn't sort of go out of their way to do anything. But Poch might be available. Having said that, Hassam wants Slot out, but Hassam has said he wants Poch. He'd take Poch. Poch could be available in the summer.
Wow. That is a mad shout. And listen, I don't even think Poch is as bad as Chelsea fans are saying. I think Chelsea are a mess. And it's not. I think Poch would be a better shout than Slot. I think he would do better at Liverpool. But still, there's a risk element to that.
I think the only guy that I don't think it's a risk for them is Roberto De Zerbi, and I can explain why. I can explain
why. Because I think that's still a risk.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because Roberto De Zerbi, if he joins Liverpool, number one, he's gonna have a style of play. So your assets, every player will look good already, like what he does for Brighton, right? Win or lose, even if you sack Roberto De Zerbi in 12 months' time, you haven't lost your assets. Your players will always look good on the pitch. They will have a style of play. The new manager can continue at this. I'm going to give you an example again. I'm going to explain this. I explained this on my channel earlier. I said, Thomas Tuchel left Chelsea after winning a Champions League in a mess, right? In a mess. Winning a trophy. Sometimes Erik ten Hag won the cup last year, but still the club, look at them now. Erik ten Hag, by the way, can win the FA Cup against Man City, but is still leaving the club in a mess. Winning the trophy isn't everything. My point about De Zerbi is, I'm not sitting here and telling you De Zerbi will win you the title or will challenge for the title. But what De Zerbi does is that, number one, he's a very strict manager. Number two, he increases your assets value. That means your players will not be destroyed. Their confidence is not going to be destroyed. The way they play football isn't going to be bad. Even when Brighton now are losing games, still their assets are being protected. So the new manager can continue on this. Even if you do twists, you change a little bit of stuff. Well, if someone else comes in and not play good football and not get results, I think that's a massive risk. That's why for me, De Zerbi, he might not win you the titles, he might not win you the games, but I believe the way he plays, the style of play, will always protect your assets. Will always have your, like the likes of Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, will only improve under him. They will improve. They might not win the titles, but they will improve because he's someone who improves every player he plays. You cannot name me a player that went backward under De Zerbi, even though they're getting battered. By the way, you still go and say, I want this player from Brighton, by the way, even though they get battered. I want this player. This player's not bad. And the other thing is, De Zerbi actually plays a style of football that is not similar to Liverpool, but he's a very attacking football manager. And Liverpool fans, every time we talk to them, they tell us we concede a lot of chances. So has Brighton. But the difference is they have Lewis Dunk, who we think is a good defender only because he plays and he passes the ball under De Zerbi, by the way. But he's not compared to Van Dijk. Imagine De Zerbi with a Van Dijk, with a Konate that can defend one-on-one better than Lewis Dunk and Van Hecke, and he has Alisson. And imagine he has McAllister instead of Billy Gilmore. Imagine he has Szoboszlai instead of Pascal Gross. Imagine he has Trent instead of his midfielders. That's what I'm talking about. More tools for him, I think it's going to be all right. I think people just don't like De Zerbi because he loses games with big score, but I think if he given better tools, I think it's good. I'm not saying that he's going to win titles, but he protects your assets.
If they're that desperate, why not just give Amorin what he wants? If they're that desperate and in that much of a situation, and I hope they don't, yeah, because for that guy to waste that air fuel, right, and to damage the environment, to fly all the way to London, waste our time to try and bargain for more money, I hope it blows up in his face. I hope he doesn't get what he wants because he looks like a big fool now, and I hope he don't. But if they're that desperate, maybe they should.
Did he hurt you? Because you sounded like Greta Thunberg, then, bro. You know what I mean?
Don't you think that's it? Don't you think to take a private jet, yeah, make a big show of it, use all that airfield, fly to London to waste another club's time that are looking for a new manager just for your own selfish gains? Come on, that's immoral, right? We can't sit there and say that's a good man, that's a good guy.
I'm going to say I understand where you're coming from, but where I'm going to call you out is this. If somebody did that so they could get their way and get the West Ham job and they used somebody else and you were happy with it, you guys would cheer him. We all do it with players, don't we, right? I remember Liverpool fans, great example, when Raheem Sterling was doing his utmost to get out of Liverpool. Liverpool fans and their pundits and media they got him booed at every stadium in the country for calling him greedy, nasty. But when they signed the likes of Van Dijk, who they were tapping up, who then forced his way out of Southampton, they gave him a hero's welcome. So I do get your point. It's not a great look. But if we benefit from that as football fans, we are so fickle, we'd go, yeah, great. But yeah, no, he did take the piss out of West Ham. He did take the mick. He did take the piss.
He's overplayed his hand because he thought he could use us to get more money out of Liverpool. Liverpool said, nah, mate, we don't think you're that guy. You go and stay in Portugal, mate, in a farmers league and see how you like that. So it's backfired. So, but I'm just saying, if they're desperate, give him the money, if he's that guy.
I actually think they should go for Xavi as well. Xavi Hernandez.
Xavi wants to stay at Barca, according to reports now. He's changed his mind. He wants to stay.
Come on now.
That's what I read it in a Spanish.
I know. But I'm not sure, to be honest. But I think they should they should try with Xavi Hernandez, to be honest. He's a good manager. He's not bad.
Viewers, let us know what you think and let us know what you feel. We have some super chats here. First one says, Mo, okay, we'll come back to Arsenal stuff a little bit later. Does anyone consider that maybe Liverpool have overachieved because of Klopp and that Edwards knows their current squad isn't winning ready, so they are going to get a project manager, not a win now?
Well, they haven't won in since 20. Since 19, I think. Since 20, the league they won in 20. That was the last thing they won.
A big step, don't you think, to say that this team has overachieved?
If you say overachieved, that means you don't rate a lot of the players, though.
Yeah, I've seen a few Liverpool fans with this take, but that's not been their take on these players and squad all year. So I don't think so personally. Shawnee here says this man has had a bang on the head. T-Dog, check him. Are you okay? Have you had a bang on the head, Mo?
Maybe you never know. You're just very sensitive. It's fine.
Viewers, let us know what you think and feel. Last night's game, boys. I want to jump into it. Before we break the game down, I kind of want to look at it from a Chelsea perspective first before we talk about Arsenal, because Poch is now being tipped to be fired. KJ put this comment in earlier, but we'll put it up on the screen that sources say they believe Mauricio Pochettino is a dead man walking, and despite some wanting him to stay, the pressure is reaching boiling point. Chelsea are aware of Ruben Amorin is available for conversation. So it does appear that, as I have said on the terrace for many weeks and months, that forget what the Chelsea media are telling you because they're being briefed by the club. Poch is certainly under pressure. They weren't just beat last night. It was a record-breaking defeat to Arsenal. They looked awful. Most of their star players they've purchased have not improved. In fact, they've gone backwards under Poch. His record's awful. Do you guys see, Dan, I'll go to Dan first on this. Do you see this do you feel like this is true? Do you feel like he's got to be a dead man walking going into the summer after this season?
It is funny how much one game changes, from, like you said earlier, from backing him and sticking by him to that. But yeah, the fans have been on his back for a long time. Fans have been calling for him to go out, and I've sort of stuck up for him by how much of a mess that squad is. But you can't go to a London rival and be getting slapped 5-0 and thinking you're just gonna keep your job. You know what I mean? So the pressures on him is justifiable. I think with how much they've spent, patience is going to be wearing thin. And if they do think they can get an exciting up and coming manager, and don't forget Poch has got the stench of Spurs on him as well. I don't think that does him any favors. I think the pressure is on, and I think maybe they're going to wait to see if he can get Chelsea into Europe, which is going to be very interesting because for them, you look at it, mate, that's more money, but it is more scrutiny on FFP and all of that sort of stuff. So that might be more trouble than it's worth them getting into Europe. But maybe they're going to see how he does in the league in these last few games and then judge at the end of the season. But yeah, massive pressure. And after last night, rightly so, because them players ain't good enough. You're missing Cole Palmer. It's a mess. But still, you've got to be able to get a performance out there where you ain't going to getting slapped 5-0. And I just think maybe
if it was me, and again, my club, and I consider myself a big club, and I lose to my rivals 5, and if I'm not challenging for the league at that time, I would want the manager out. The only way I would want the manager to stay if I get beat by AC Milan and Juventus 5, if I'm like going for the title or going for the Champions League. Chelsea aren't going for anything, right? And it's not on him, but sometimes context has to be out of the way. Like Man United, last season, you were going for Champions League places, right? That's why after the 7-0, maybe you kept him. But if my club is beat 7-0,
and he just won a trophy like a couple of weeks
before.
Yeah,
but Poch isn't winning a trophy this season.
Yeah.
And he isn't going to challenge for top 4. And you just lost to your London rivals 5-0. And yes, the players are overrated. We're not going to sit here and repeat everything. But if it was me, I would want the guy to be sacked in the tunnel and get an interim manager. And I'm just giving you, because I consider myself supporting a big club, right? If you want to call yourself a big club, Chelsea, the manager has to be sacked in the tunnel when you lose 5-0. Like we said about Ten Hag losing to Bournemouth at home 3-0. Maybe you guys in the Premier League have it different. But for me, 5-0 to your London rivals, when you aren't going for anything during the season, forget anything out of the way. The players are overrated. The manager in the tunnel. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Habibi, goodbye. Salam. We'll see you, inshallah, later.
Do you know what? I think that really, for me, it is sackable, but I think you judge a manager by how you're able to get those players to bounce back. Because look, we've all been on the end of these slappings. Everyone's pointing out, yes, we lost 6-0 to Arsenal, 5-2 to Palace. I was calling for Moyes to go at that point. I was saying, yeah, that is a sackable offense. But it's about how you bounce back. So if you can turn around and get your team, lift your team up and get them to slap someone else next week, then you can sit there and go, do you know what? That was just a blip. You've shown that, yeah, you have the credentials to pick up these players when they're on the floor. Do you know what I mean?
I'm sorry, I'm not getting this.
You don't think any team,
bro? If Inter is beat to AC Milan 5, and I'm not going for the title, and I'm sitting 7th or 8th or 9th in the league, my manager, no matter what the circumstances are, I'm telling you, the ultras of Inter were right.
The league position is good context. Yeah. I
get what Mo's saying. I think there's so many things at play here with Chelsea, and everybody always seems to focus on one of the issues. So there are a lot of players that are not good enough in this Chelsea squad. I completely agree. And we'll get onto that. But at the same time, they have a lot of players that are better than many of the teams that are below them. But their structure still, it's very similar to Man United. The structure of the team isn't right. They work hard to a certain degree for Poch, but I feel like the team is a reflection of him. They've got no bottle. And as Gary Neville coined the phrase, blue billion pound bottle jobs or whatever it was. And you saw that, you've seen that in a number of different ways this season, in games they should win, but they failed to take chances or capitalize. Leads they've had that have been thrown away, or there's been a few games like last night this season where they should have got pumped, but maybe the finishing of the opponents has kind of got them away from it. I think Man United, when we played them at home, we should have scored so many more goals than we did. Spurs were on course to destroy them until they stupidly got 2 players sent off as an example. And yes, they've had a couple of good games against City this year, 3 good games really, but they haven't actually even managed to win any of those games, right? And I just look at it and think, so even when they've played well, they've come out second best too often. And I think that you have to look at the manager. He's done nothing to disprove my theory about him, Poch, this entire time at Chelsea. He's actually made it worse. I thought he'd get them playing really good football, but just not get them over the line. But in fact, he hasn't even got the football to look particularly good. He's bottling sort of gateway moments in the process of trying to get back up to the top. But they have to look to move him on. However, what I would also say to Chelsea fans in the next breath is that this isn't a simple solution of sack the manager, bring in an Amorin, and you're going to improve. There's a lot of players in your team who have a long way to go to prove their Premier League standard. And when I say Premier League standards, I'm talking about the Premier League, La Liga. I'm talking about the best leagues in the world, which whether you think we're the best or one of the best, It's not debatable. We absolutely are. But I was going back through last night's team as an example, and even some of the players that are out and missing. And I think to myself, Petrovic in goal, not good enough. Recently, he did well when he first came in, but recent weeks, lots of mistakes. He ain't the guy. Sanchez, who's also came in, isn't the guy. Reece James, sorry to say it, Chelsea fans, isn't the guy. Too many injuries. Gusto, I think you should keep him. I think he's excellent. Dazarsi is a disaster. Badiashile, absolutely not. Cucurella, meh. He's had 2 years there. He's had some good moments, but overall not good enough. Ben Chilwell, absolutely nowhere near the standard. I think Caicedo, I think there's a player in there. And I think the right manager could get that out of him. I think, he showed some, I mean, they conceded 5 goals last night, but I like him still. Enzo Fernandez, absolutely not for me. And I'm at a point now where he may prove me wrong in the future, but I watched him again last night. Weak whenever he's being challenged physically. No speed, no real athleticism. Doesn't have a killer pass. He isn't setting up gilt edge chance, the gilt edge chance. Doesn't score goals. Isn't great in the tackle. Loses so many of his ground duels, especially against good quality opponents.
Top midfielders in the league. Oh my God, he's one of the best midfielders in the league.
He's so bang average at the minute. Conor Gallagher got all the heart. He's got all the gear, but no idea, I would say. He's got all the heart in the world, but he ain't quite good enough on the ball. Mahalo Mudryk, don't make me laugh. I think Madueke's got great skill, but there's zero in product, so they need someone to challenge him. And Nicholas Jackson. Nicholas Jackson is one of the most frustrating players in the Premier League. Decent hold-up play. Excellent skill. Wonderful dribbling. Brilliant speed. But the man couldn't score in a brothel. If he fell into a barrel full of boobs, he'd come out sucking his thumb. 110%.
No wonder he's desperate for a penalty. Do you know what I mean? That's the only way he can try and get his goal stats.
Well, this is the thing. And then you start going down the pecking order. Silva's leaving. Didn't even start yesterday. Sterling's over the hill. Chalobah isn't good enough. The squad building has been atrocious. It really has been. And look, I was someone when Todd Bowley and co came in, I thought they keep spending like Roman, but they create this sort of great footballing philosophy where they don't sometimes I think they sack some managers too soon. Jose first time, Ancelotti as an example, but they if they basically did what a Dortmund do or a Leipzig do, but they supercharged it with Roman style money and brought superstars in as well. I was genuinely petrified of what Chelsea could become, but it's gone I have to hold my hands up. And again, what you say and what you do are very, very different. What you promise to deliver versus what you actually execute are not always the same thing. And Chelsea talked a good talk. And I will say this to Chelsea fans, your owners have got to change many things behind the scenes. Your squad, again, I don't know how you afford to do this, needs a complete overhaul. And you need the manager gone as well. This is not, and you're going down the route that Man United did of, if we get rid of Poch, we're going to be okay. Or if we sell these 2 crap players and get rid of Poch, we'll be fine. It's a bigger problem than that. It really is. And I think last night probably hasn't happened enough this season where they've been battered on the scoreline. And I noticed a difference and a change in Chelsea fans last night where they almost went, oh God, we really are that bad team. We really are that bad. And I'm not even saying this to dig at Chelsea. I really thought Todd Bowley and co were going to do a good job for Chelsea. I have to hold my hands up. A real man does when you get things wrong. That hasn't gone according to plan 110%. But I'll call it out because I don't like to see, the working person, the working man, the working woman's club treated in this way. They're acting like they don't have any financial issues. They do. They've got to sell all your academy players to buy this summer. If that doesn't work, what's next? What next part of your soul are you going to sell to continue on this project? They're in a lot of trouble, Chelsea, at the moment, and there's so much of it. It's unbelievable.
Alhamdulillah. Do you remember when I sat on the terrace in the beginning of the season? I said, for the good of football, this project has to fail. And they laughed at me. Where are you? Where are you now? Like, listen, you buy a lot of youngsters. We told you need this, you need that. You told us. A lot of Chelsea fans, you guys told us, no, we are ready. This project is going to work. Where are you now? You need to sell a lot of players. You need to get a lot of players still. You told us we're building a squad. You handed 8-year contracts, right? And you're extending Mudryk contract and you're extending Enzo Fernandez. These guys are going to get paid until 2030. I don't know if I'll be even here in 2030. Who knows how long we're
6
gonna
years,
live?
you'll be around. God willing.
Yeah,
God
who
willing.
knows? Who knows? Who knows? But listen, this project failed, and it is failing now. The fact that a lot of Chelsea fans saying we need to sell that, we need to sell this is not working, is actually a proof that it doesn't work. Football doesn't work like this. You cannot just buy 50,000 players and sell 50,000 players and buy again the season after and hoping that it works and it bangs, and hoping that a youngster will bang and you'll be able to sell him for 100 million. Look at you now. Enzo Fernandez value dropped one of the most in the world, right? Mudrik dropped one of the most in the world, right? Even Caicedo. The values of your players dropped massively. To be honest with you, this project failed. They need to start over. I don't know whether they get the money. A lot of Chelsea fans are living in dreamland, thinking that they have a lot of money, as you said, Terry, and because they've been fed that narrative. And I think Chelsea, you might be going into a terrible era as well. A terrible, terrible era.
It's fixable. The thing is, though, it's still very fixable. So if they get rid of, well, money's always going to be needed in this era. If they, again, there are lots of talented players in the squad, and look, I'm sitting here now saying, Mudrik, don't rate him. He could turn out to be really good, right? We all get things right, we all get things wrong. That element for me isn't that important, but they do have a problem. And if this summer they were to go out and buy 4 really talented, experienced players and add them to this squad,
yes, they
would hold on to the talent that they've got and then bring in a manager that can make the structure work. So they bring in a manager that gets them defense. Again, you've got to remember, defensively, they are, and it isn't just the personnel, because there are teams that have much worse defenders than them that pound for pound defend better than they do. They've conceded so many goals. They need to fix that first of all. I really thought the Caicedo Enzo midfield would work, but Anita in the group chat last night just said, I don't think they can play together. And maybe that's what it is. I think there's issues with Enzo. I think Enzo lacks the physicality to be a Premier League box-to-box midfield player. He just doesn't. The way Rice and Odegaard were just that much quicker to the punch last night was big for me. But if they get the right manager in, 3 or 4 good signings in the summer, they can stop the rot year, like in that first year of the new manager. You can stop the rot, solidify, try and get back into some form of Europe, and then keep adding from that point. What I think they've got to stop trying to do is fix it all in one summer by going, do you know what? We're going to borrow some from this investment firm and get this person to buy some land, and we're going to spend another 600 million in a season, because you're going to create the same problems again. An imbalanced, overpopulated squad where a manager's struggling to know who to pick. You need to almost boil it down and start again. But you've got to add some experience to this team, because the kids in this squad, they cannot handle the pressure they're under, because they're not at a small club. They're a gigantically big club. Roman made you giants. Yeah. The pressure and the media attention is on you, and these kids are struggling. And the stench of last season has carried on over into this one. And I think a big reset is needed this summer for Chelsea. Otherwise, if they don't and they continue, if you keep operating in the same way from top to bottom, it's not going to improve. It can't. It's a fact of life. What's the expression? If you do the same thing over and over again and expect different results, is that not the definition of insanity? Yeah. So it's. I know, Dan. You probably enjoy it as a West Ham fan, watching Chelsea be in this mess.
I do. I do take some pleasure off it, and I don't see it changing, because I don't see them being able to sell. We talk about, and I talk to Chelsea fans, we're going to sell Gallagher, and we're going to sell this player, we're going to sell Chilwell, we can sell all they want to think they can just sell all the players they don't want anymore, right? And they're going to be sorely disappointed, because I don't think a lot of teams are going to go and pay what Chelsea want for the players that are on crazy contracts. I can't see many teams lining up to do that, to be honest with you. So they did their little loopholes, signing players up to these 8-year contracts, high wages, all of that stuff. And now I think they've made their bed, and now they're going to have to lie in it. And they just need to hope there's a manager out there that can make this group of players tick. Project Youth backfired, and I can't see them getting back to Roman era. I think Todd Bowley is a clown. He's an absolute joker. He's, tried to take shortcuts to success. And,
do you know what the problem is then? You know what the problem is? We a lot of Chelsea fans in the beginning of the season and last season when Graham Potter was hired, they told us they were jealous of other clubs. They were jealous of Arsenal. They were jealous of Liverpool. They were jealous of the other clubs. They said, we want a project. We want to hold on to something. We want something sustainable. And I like, you've been the most successful club in England over 20 years. Why do you want to change it now? They're like, no. We want to have something sustainable. I'm like, you don't need to. A lot of clubs operate that way. Real Madrid operate this way. And a lot of Chelsea fans said they were like, oh, Graham Potter is good. He's going to build us something. Bro, just go to chop and change again. Who cares? You were successful. You were winning trophies. You were happy. Yes, you were not happy the year after, but a couple of years you were happy. The year after, you were not happy. You won the league with Ancelotti, Mourinho, Conte. Before that with Mourinho, Champions League with Di Matteo, Champions League with Thomas Tuchel. Who cares who's the manager? Who cares if it's sustainable or not? As long as you're operating, your fan base is getting bigger around the world, right? Just, it doesn't matter. In my opinion, like, I don't know why is everybody now obsessed with this project thing? Who cares about a project? If you're winning trophies along the way and you aren't winning cups, you're winning Champions Leagues and league titles and all of this, who cares about a project? It doesn't matter.
But you have to have a project now, Mo, because where the manager market, like you said, is crap. So who is this manager you're going to get now? That's not the project manager. It's the win now manager. And that's
money.
I think, but
I'm going to give you an example. Sorry, I'm going to give you an example.
Go on.
Inzaghi has not renewed his contract with Inter. His contract expires in 2025. Go and offer the guy 15 million pounds a year. Just do that. Go and offer him a lot of money. Go get that guy 15 million pounds. He won already. Amorin. We believe Amorin can be successful. Go offer him the money he wants. That's it.
They got to pay the buyout clause.
Forget projects, bro. Forget projects. Forget this. Forget that. Chelsea are operating based on the money. Just go and offer.
But it isn't as simple. It isn't as simple as that. And do you know what I'd say to you? I understand the sort of tired approach that we have now as a collective towards words like projects and processes, and the sort of the buzzwords that are used in football. But they've always existed. It's just that we were not privy to what the plans were, and they weren't given names that were easy for us to digest in the media. It's why the media spun us net spend for the best part of 2 decades, because that was far easier for them to explain in a 5-minute segment on TalkSport or Sky than educating everybody, which would take maybe an hour, on how transfers are actually done and the fact that clubs don't use net spend. Net spend doesn't exist at any capacity at the big clubs. But it was a lot easier to create a net spend, very simple and easy to digest. And I think that's what's happened when it comes to talking to fans, as we get less direct personal interactions now with clubs compared to decades gone by. But because of social media, there's so much more of a clamor for information and news. And then people start detailing what they've done. And I think it's sometimes quite difficult to explain. Edward might do a masterclass on how he runs Liverpool. But you have to boil it down into simple to understand language. So words like projects and processes are used to kind of boil it all into one. But processes and projects have always existed. When Sir Alex joined Man United in the 80s, we were broken. And part of the project was fixing the youth academy, so because we'd stopped developing good quality young players. Part of the project was removing the drinking culture, improving the fitness, and rebuilding a winning mentality at the football club. It's just nobody was using buzzwords to kind of package it all together. So I do get where you're coming from in the sense of it's tiring, but projects City are, there's a process at every club every year. City this summer will sell 2 or 3 players they find surplus to requirements and buy more. The process is ever ongoing. It's just revolution. It just keeps moving and moving. But I do get your point. I think some people use, like we said, Liverpool earlier, some Liverpool fans want to do this. Oh, it's a new project now, as a comfort blanket or a safety net. So if they don't win, they can say, but we're in a rebuild, but we're at the beginning of a new process. No, when your club's up near the top, if you change that process and it goes wrong, that's when the criticism comes in. And I think for Chelsea, they did have a process under Roman, and it was we go for the best manager in the market and we just try and buy the best players in the market. And they had a core group at their club for a long period of time, the Lampards and the Terrys and the Drogbas, who it didn't matter who the manager was, that core was still there, that group, that ethos was still at the club. That in its sense was its project. The problem is they've still to this day, they've just never replaced those players. And because they haven't got that plethora of quality in the squad, it's harder when you go out for the what are now being referred to as win now managers, because win now managers need squads that are ready to win. And Chelsea, just like Man United, and I'm not speaking down on Chelsea and bigging my own club up, we're no good for win now managers because our squads ain't ready to win. And it's going to take 2 or 3 summers to build these squads up to get them ready to win. So you actually need a manager who's not quite of that level, but it's going to take for a small period of time fans to become patient again to build up to that point. But the problem is when you have weak owners like we've had in the past, and I think Chelsea have now, is that they're just very trigger happy. They listen to the fans and they end up doing the wrong thing by the club. Oh, they spend big and do this and get everyone excited. And look, we all get dragged in by it, even when it's not even our own club. So I just feel that what they need to do is go back to basics, strip it all back and be honest with the fans. And fans need to listen. It's going to take a good couple of years to fix this squad. You are not challenging for the Prem next year, even if you spend £1 billion in the summer. It's not happening. You're not ready. But
do you think, I actually think that there is a possibility that Chelsea stay in this hole for a while.
How long do you reckon?
Possibly.
If they don't go for a manager that is going to make a man out of these boys, which is, I mean, like someone like Antonio Conte or someone like Ancelotti or someone like Zerbi or someone like this, I think these players will go into the hole of just their level is going to go down and they won't come back and they will have to spend a lot of money and they won't have the money because they'll have to sell to buy players. I think that this hole can be where Chelsea go into 6 and 7s and stuff like this. It can go for 2, 3, 4 years from now until they fix the club, especially with the ownership direction. The ownership direction is still going the same way. I believe this can go to 3, 4, 5 years when they are like, when you aren't even in the Champions League. And by the way, I'm going to tell you that Champions League football is a must for a big club. This is where you get the exposure. This is where big players want to play. You are not going to be able to go to a player and tell him, well, why don't you come to my club if you aren't playing in Champions League? You need to make men out of these kids. And I don't know who's the man. Hansi Flick might be the guy for them. Go money.
Where you're pulling on a lot of facts is turnover. Man United have been in a very similar position to Chelsea. But our turnover is still 700 odd million a year. Chelsea's is dropping towards
the 400s, right?
Towards the 400s. That makes it harder to get out the hole because Man United have still got that extra 200 to 300 million over most clubs in England will maybe ever have because of the size of our fan base, the size of our, and Chelsea's right now they're looking anywhere between sort of 500 to 600 million. If they don't get back into the Champions League, that will soon start to dwindle. And it makes it harder to get back. So I don't think it's a bad shout. Let's do some of these super chats here. First one says, less Chelsea were so bad and more Arsenal were effing unreal. They are back as a mid-table team. We battered plenty mid-table teams by that many. Thank you, Mr. Tybox. Long time no see. As an American fan, I thought youth projects were more of a American thing since the worst teams get the best draft positions. It's not so much like, I mean, people use different words. Man United have always got a youth project going on. I think it's 4,200 consecutive games. Man United have had a youth player within their match day squad, either starting or on their bench. It's a very important part of the history of our football club. But you always have to get the balance right. All the great teams that are fully youngsters, the stars of the teams were very rarely the youngsters. They were surrounded by a really strong core of players, and that's so key. Unfortunately for Chelsea, their new American owner has no idea of how to develop a good team. They were arrogant, must-hire, proven backroom staff. But didn't they, though, take loads of people from the Leipzig model? I swear they've got people that have worked elsewhere. My theory is that they must be there by... It sounds like they're ceremonious positions because they've took some really good people from Brighton, some really good people from Leipzig. So I don't understand why they're making bad footballing decisions unless the American owners are really the ones who are controlling it.
Yeah, that's got to be the case. And I think just having, sometimes when you have just unlimited money, sometimes that's almost as bad as having no money or something, because it stifles you. You go and just they've just gone and picked the obvious players rather than sitting there and, like you said, building on balance. They've just gone for, Caicedo's the flavour of the month now. Yeah, sat down 100 million on Caicedo, Enzo. So, maybe it's just the fit. They was a better fit at like Leverkusen than at Chelsea where they've got all the resources.
I've never seen this model in my life.
They've also signed a lot of players, Chelsea, when you think back, that other clubs were in for first, and they've come in. And again, it's a Man United thing. Oh, City are going to get Sancho. Let's go and offer more money, see if it works. They want Fred. They want Maguire. All the players we did that to ended up really and truly flopping at Man United overall. And
that's terrible.
Also, I looked at the Chelsea transfers over the past 2 summers. There are a lot of names that we never speak of, by the way. We never say these names. There's a lot of youngsters that they bought from other countries, you know what I mean, outside of England, as they are trying to replace their academy products with these young projects, the 18, 19 years old.
I think what they do, I think a lot of the
because they want someone to bang and they want to sell this person that they bought for 80 million or 50 million, 60 million.
I think
that matches Brighton. You know, that matches Brighton.
Yeah, I think what they've done is everyone's got to remember the rule that changed. Chelsea used to make about £30 million a year through the loan system. And then FIFA changed its regulations. They staggered it over a 3-year period for the amount of players you could have out on loan and how much money you could make from it. This was a £30 million black hole, or circa a £30 million black hole for Chelsea. I think part of the plan of this bit, I think, makes sense in theory. Go out and buy that really talented Brazilian for £8 million. Go and buy that really talented Argentinian for 12 million. Go and buy that really talented English player for 7 million. And they've spent hundreds of millions doing that. I think the idea was try and loan some of those players out because they're not academy players, so you can loan them out. And then you sell them for 20 or 30, 40 million in the future. That element of their projects, I think, is fair because they're probably going to make some profit on these individuals at some point. And that would make a lot of sense. But that hole always needed to be addressed. This year from D says, love from NYC. Great show to get me through the working day. Big up yourself, bro. He says, for Chelsea, who would be the best next managerial appointment? Amorin, Zerbi, Poch to stay, or another?
Do you know what? Amorin's got a good track record of going into clubs and making a quick impact, as much as obviously he's in my bad books after using us like that. I think that could be the shout. I think based on each track record of improving players and also having an eye for talent and just making an instant impact. I think that could be the one.
My shout for Chelsea was Antonio Conte. Get him 2-3 experienced players, one year contract, 2-year contract, and he might get you near the top. And then he will develop some of these players. He'll make men out of them and then move on, get the next guy. Because you know he's going to complain after that first year and you'll be able to sack him.
I don't think he'd go back. I don't think he'd go back.
He's out of a job, man. He's out of a job.
Yeah, that doesn't mean he's desperate. He's on the breadline and he's like, I need to work. I can't feed my kids.
I don't know. He might come back to football. Do you know what's interesting? I read this about him. He lost a lot of really close friends to him, like his close friends group, and a lot of them were around him in football in a very short space of time. I'm not saying he won't come back. I have no insight into it at all, but I feel like he might still keep himself away for another year or so. But listen, I still think Zerbi isn't a bad shout. I know a lot of people, for some reason, a lot of people don't like him, but I really rate him. I think there's a manager in there.
I'm here. I said that I'm here for Jose Mourinho at Liverpool, Arteta at Arsenal, Pep at Man City, Thomas Tuchel at Man United, and Antonio Conte at Chelsea. Box office, press conferences, both managers in the stadium. You pay ticket to go watch that, and they sit in a ring. They talk to each other. Imagine Conte with Thomas Tuchel in a ring, and there's 50,000 watching press conferences, and that'll be great for the Premier League. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
Will probably be available. Yeah, I mean, but why would Zerbi succeed where Potter failed? That's the interest. Obviously, Potter is apparently linked with the Liverpool job now. People are saying, I don't know if they're making it up, but yeah, why would
define success? Define success then before you say define.
Okay,
success.
So success. I think success for a Chelsea fan would be competing for top 4 right now, getting back into that because they've been mid-table for the past few seasons.
I think if Zerbi goes there, they might. The problem is some of these players are overrated. The difference between Chelsea and all the other clubs, I think some of these players aren't as good as what we actually think they are. Some of them just aren't good.
Yeah, I thought the Zerbi's had a lot of stick this year. He got a lot of praise last year, a lot of stick this year. he's at a club currently that typically has to sell its best 2 or 3 players every summer for them to progress and move forward. Maybe it changes this summer because of the money they made in the previous couple of years. But that's a hard thing to handle. I think if he takes over this Chelsea squad, can buy players that he wants, they bring in some experience. Chelsea are already on the edge of European football. I think he could push them an extra 10 to 15 points better and put them into a top four race year one. Am I convinced 100% that the Zerbi will go on to be a Premier League winning, Champions League winning manager? No. But I think he needs that next step up. Chelsea, by name, are a giant club, but the position they find themselves in, they're not at that point anymore. Where it could go wrong for De Zerbi is the expectation, just like at Man United, the expectation from certain people is go and win now. And it isn't plausible. So I'd like to see him given an opportunity.
Probably the least patient fan base in the league. And I think it's a big risk for him because if it backfires, it hurts his reputation if he fails, right? And he ends up there. Look, you've had Potter, who hasn't had a job since. Of course, he's linked with jobs, but he hasn't exactly.
I think that. I think because of Chelsea's recent dealings with Brighton not really going too well. Maybe it's one just to avoid because it comes with that little bit of baggage. That's a really good point. Chelsea fans protested against Sir Jim and he's backing now, crying for him. Crying more. You got your Chelsea back to mid-table. Talk to Fulham now is what Curtis has got to say. He overachieved last season. You have to remember that. I think you're talking about. Okay, I think it's an earlier one to me. It says Terry, I have a bone to pick with you. You say Ten Hag out. I don't say Ten Hag out in that way, though. I'm not a Ten Hag outer, but I'll explain why in a minute. But you are forgetting our past managers. They all got sacked for nothing. Nothing had changed. But this is the whole point. That's why I'm not a Ten Hag outer. Most Ten Hag outers believe get him out, bring in a top manager, we start winning again. Wrong. We need to remove him. We need to remove the 90% of the squad. And we already know that all the technical directors and decision makers are already gone. The new ones are here and coming in. It's a complete overhaul that's needed. My want for Ten Hag to go is partly because I just want a completely fresh start. I believe it will help us to progress quicker. So I understand we need to break the manager cycle, as many people put it. But I think you can only break that cycle when you start with a brand new, fresh regime. So it's a very different scenario this time round for me.
You won't be patient. Your fan base won't be patient. I know that.
No, I agree. Listen, there will be some
that will win. Man United have to win along the way.
Hang on. There'll be some that will and there'll be some that won't. There are some I already know. And anyone who doesn't use their real name or face on Twitter, I don't really take their opinion seriously. Those people will remain negative because it's the only way they get traction and attention. There'll be a few Man United fan content creators that will straight away start pushing that. We have to challenge straight away. They know we won't. They know we can't, but they'll push it. Why? Because that will get them views, right? That is what they'll go for. If the football looks good and we can see progression, Man United fans will get behind what's happening. Man United's biggest issue with LVG, with Jose, with this manager now, is the style of football has been so bad. That really and truly, because there's nothing to hang your hat on. There's nothing to turn around and say, I can see where we're going. I can see how we get better. It's atrocious. So that's what they need to get right straight away. If the football looks good and you go, decent play there, or a decent team being developed, that the Man United fans will get behind it. I really believe that. I mean, the match-going fans, majority of them still want Ten Hag to stay. So the fans at our stadium, which are important, they're pretty patient, but we'll see. Moving on from Chelsea, obviously Arsenal last night. I know it'll probably pain Dan to say this, but they were scintillating. A huge win, massive performances from the likes of Partey and Rice, Odegaard, Trossard. But Kai Havertz is now King Kai. Even Lee Gunner, I saw a clip on Twitter today. Even Lee Gunner celebrated and used his name. Gone against what he said that he'd never celebrate a Kai Havertz goal. He actually did Kai Havertz celebration and said his name. So Arsenal fans buzzing after last night's win, Dan, and they apply a little bit more pressure to Manchester City in the title race now.
Yeah, look, it is a big win for them. It is a big win for them, and an important win. I said, because they just have to stay in. I don't think they're going to win it, but you never know if one of the other teams, if City were to slip up, you just got to keep winning your games and stay in there, right? And to beat your London rivals like that, 5-0, that had to be sweet. I know, Chelsea have, really given them a lot of bad sort of results over the years, and some bad memories. But this King Kai business and this Kai Havertz hype and Kai Havertz prop, I'm not having it. Okay, yeah, he scored 2 goals, in a 5-0 game against an awful Chelsea side. I think.
Again. Oh my God.
Well, were you hyping him up?
Forget that. But the fact that you keep mentioning that Chelsea are bad, it's downplaying Arsenal 5-0 win in a London derby when they are going for a title race. To put it down to that Chelsea are bad is just so bitter. It's so bitter.
No,
I'm sorry,
if you
bro.
lose 5-0,
bro, title
you are
race,
bad.
Pressure on them. A lot of people said Chelsea might stop them, and you were like, yeah, you scored 2 goals. And by the way, he's the one who got scored by Chelsea. Come on.
No, but what makes Arsenal 5-0 against Chelsea better than Fulham's 5-0 against West Ham?
You're not going to be less of a West Ham fan if you don't give them praise. It's fine. It's fine.
I just
you still give them praise. You don't have to say Chelsea are bad. You don't have to.
It's were, right. Though. They were. It's a fact.
5-0 in a London derby, in a title race. If they drop points in this game, they knew they're going to get slaughtered in the media. But people want to come here and say, but Chelsea were bad. Guys, it's okay. Get over your ego. It's fine. It's okay.
Wait, hold up. When Man United lost 7-0 to Liverpool, Man United weren't bad. Man United weren't bad in that game.
But it's more of Liverpool were
Liverpool were hugely praised. Liverpool were hugely praised for it.
You have to be good. Of course, Arsenal are good, but Chelsea weren't good. Because if Chelsea were good, they would have gave Arsenal a competitive game. It's not to say Arsenal wouldn't have won that game, but Chelsea weren't good. It is objectively true that Chelsea were bad. Arsenal.
Do you believe
good.
Arsenal won 5-0 because they were good, or Chelsea were bad? Do you believe more if it's Arsenal were good or Chelsea were bad? Honest, your opinion.
I think
I want your opinion, honestly. Don't do the political thing. Don't do the political thing, right?
Do it as a percentage. Do it as a percentage.
Yes. Which one is,
I think
is more?
It was. I'm gonna say 65% Chelsea bad. Right,
Oh,
65.
I told you, bro. I told you nobody wants to sit here and praise a derby, a London derby 5-0 win.
Palmer?
That's not
they
the
didn't have
point.
their best player. Come on,
the
man.
narrative was Arsenal are gonna collapse and they're gonna be out of the title race against Chelsea, and Arsenal are gonna struggle against Chelsea. That was the narrative, and they proved people wrong by winning a London derby under pressure 5-0, and people want to say Chelsea were the ones that were bad.
Where was this? Why didn't we? Did we didn't do a show, did we? Like after the Bayern Munich game and you had the Villa game. It's timing is everything on these shows.
Exactly,
right?
Timing is everything. Of course,
it is everything. Because if we did last week's show on a Thursday instead of a Wednesday after Villa and Bayern,
I predicted Arsenal win against Chelsea. I predicted Arsenal to win against Chelsea.
See, this is the thing for me. It was. I understand what you mean by a different conversation, but when they lost those back-to-back games, I did feel there was a massive overreaction. And I was in the studio with George on Friday before they played Wolves, and he said it's an April flop. I said, well, they lost one Prem game, and they obviously lost that one game against Bayern. I said, but if they were to go on Arsenal and beat Wolves and beat Chelsea and maybe beat Spurs, would you really call this a collapse? And he's like, no, it can't be called a collapse then. But they ain't winning any of those games, and even a lot of Arsenal fans didn't expect to win the last two, and that's what I would say is impressive for Arsenal.
Expect to beat Chelsea.
No, listen, honestly. So if you got, again, I'm just saying, hindsight's lucrative. Go back and look at our shows. Just look at the comments in the match reactions after Arsenal got knocked out, and in the top 6 show previewing the Wolves game. Go back and look at the comments and the live comments when people were saying, is the title race over? What's going to happen to Arsenal in the next few games? I would say a good 60 to 70% of including Arsenal fans said, I doubt we'll barely win any more games for the rest of the season now. Chelsea fans a week ago were licking their lips. Their view was, we're walking away with something. We are going to stop Arsenal's title
hopes. It's done. It's done.
Suddenly, Arsenal win 5-0, win 2 games back-to-back after the Villa defeat, and everybody's going, and after everyone said they completely collapsed, oh, everyone expected Arsenal to do this. That's disingenuous, in my opinion. Based on, I'm only talking about the football terrace community. Forget people that sit outside the football terrace community, because I watch some of the stuff. I'm only talking about our community. The way everyone spoke about Arsenal after the Villa defeat compared to what they're saying now is very, very different, in my opinion. So
I believe what happened, what Arsenal did yesterday is different. A lot of people complained about Arteta last season. He doesn't have a plan B. He doesn't have a plan B. Now, yesterday, he went 1-0 up and saw that his defense is getting torn apart by Nicholas Jackson on the left, and he went and defended. And he defended deep, and he made adjustment and adaptation, and nobody wants to talk about it. Everyone is coming with one agenda that Chelsea were bad, but Arsenal yesterday.
We just spent so long, Mo, slating Chelsea, their entire team.
Yeah, but
player from player.
He played a part.
I'm going to repeat it again, Lawless. Sorry, Terry. I'm going to repeat it again, Lawless. Nobody predicts 5-0s and 4-0s in derbies, bro. Nobody sits and expects Man United to lose 7-0 to Liverpool, no matter how bad Liverpool are or how bad Man United are. No matter how, the reason why, and there are the reasons for it, because it didn't matter what happened. At the end, Spurs versus Arsenal, you cannot sit here and expect 5-0. So 5-0 is an achievement. If Man United and Man City, it doesn't matter how the game goes. If Man City smash Man United 7 or 6 or something, it doesn't matter how bad Man United are. It's an achievement. You know what I mean? Because it's a derby, because there is more stuff on the line. And also Arsenal were under a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure.
I think they were. I agree with Dan to a certain extent. I think Chelsea being poor played a part. A good 10, 15, 20% is down to them having some poor moments. But I did think Arsenal were particularly good last night, and they got better throughout the game. In the first half, they were excellent in most areas of the pitch, but they
Kai Havertz wasn't a donkey in the first half.
Yeah, Kai Havertz passing when he should have shot when he should have passed, and you think, oh God, they're 1-0, this is dangerous. But that second half performance, look, Kai Havertz is finishing. He looked out of this world. Declan Rice again, proving why he's one of the best midfielders in the world. People were doubting him. But Martin Odegaard yesterday, Jesus Christ. Barring a goal, some of his passing was just out of this world. Their overall performance was amazing. And look, I kind of praise the defense in the game. I look back now, and actually, Jackson should have scored 2 goals. I don't know why he handballed the first one instead of heading it. And
that was weird, bro. That was.
And then
weird.
the second shot, where it was easier to score than miss, and he went for the near post and missed. Fair enough. They probably should have conceded a couple of goals last night, Arsenal. But outside of that, it was one of the best performances I've seen from them all season.
And I think Terry,
doing it in a title race is massive.
You know how I put it like this. If you're in a fight, right, and you're fighting someone, you're going in, you're cautious. You start off because you think, right, I don't want to get clocked, I want to get caught out. And someone gives you their best shot, right? Shot after shot, and it's tickling you. You know their best shot. They ain't putting you away. They ain't gonna do you no harm. All of a sudden, you can sit there now and go, oh, okay, I got nothing to fear. I'm gonna go for it now. Let's go for it. And you start swinging on this guy. You're gonna do some serious damage. You're gonna put that guy out because you know that his best shot isn't gonna do nothing, right? And when Arsenal are seeing Chelsea, they're having chance after chance and can't hit the target, they're sitting there going, right, they ain't gonna do nothing. Let's go and let's tear this team apart. And I think
she didn't think that Arsenal did anything impressive. Like, it was just normal performance, and they were just they were bad.
No, I said they get credit. I'm not. Listen, the first thing out of my mouth was that's a good result, an important result. To beat your rivals in London 5-0.
I don't co-sign on this, guys. The fact that I'm on a show with him doesn't mean I co-sign everything he says. That's just it's just
and that worked. Listen.
You said something earlier, Dan, that you're not buying into the Kai Havertz hype. Why not? It's his best goal scoring season since he's been in the Premier League. He's banging in goals in the title race, which is something that we all rip into the likes of the sort of Harry Kane's in the past, and Saka gets a lot of stick for not scoring and delivering in the title race. This man's doing it for Arsenal.
Yeah, listen, I think, and I never said he's this terrible player. I just don't think that Arsenal have made him a better player. Like, I don't think Arsenal have made Rice a better player. They're just in better teams right now, better performing teams. And that's why they're getting more out of him. I don't buy into this Kai Havertz.
I'm with you here, by the way. I'm with you.
Yeah. I don't buy into him as being the guy going forward. Look at next season. If Arsenal is serious, is Kai Havertz a starter in that team? Should he be? Even want him as a starter?
I'm with you here. So what Dan said is amazing. And if you ask 90% of Arsenal fans, what do you need in the summer? They say a striker. They say a striker. That means they are convinced that Kai Havertz can be a bench player, can be an option off the bench. I believe he's okay. He actually now justified 65 million a little bit, right? Because he's used the right way. Credit to Arteta. It's not only Kai Havertz. He's using him very well. Declan Rice yesterday played the left midfielder brilliantly, completely destroyed Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo in that midfield left side. They tried to cover him, they couldn't. And Thomas Partey, again, if you can get a fit Thomas Partey, but when you shouldn't go down that same hole again. They should replace. I believe if Arsenal get a Caicedo next season, that's an amazing midfield. If they get a Caicedo next season, and unless Declan Rice is going to go to play at DM. But Arsenal yesterday were impressive. And I said it, and I have if Arsenal win every game from now until the end of the season, I believe they will win the league, because I believe City will drop points at some game. Do I believe they can win every game until now and the end of the season? Yes. I'm not going to say they're favorites or whatever, right? Because City still can win every game. But I believe, that's my personal belief, and maybe call it hope, that I want to see a different winner for the Premier League, that City will drop points here and there, somewhere.
Yeah, I think if they beat Spurs away, I think they'll win all their remaining games, Arsenal.
Yes.
I think the Spurs game is, if they win that, they'll beat Bournemouth at home, I believe. They're so much better than we are. We are so bad.
Where are they playing you? Is that at the Emirates?
It's at Old Trafford, but I know we've got a decent record at home against them. But I'll be honest, look, we threw away a 3-0 lead against Coventry. That isn't me playing up Man United down. I'm being real. Like, I don't see it. But maybe the new style of play that Wilcox is introducing.
Well, maybe.
You don't think you could get out a draw like you did against Liverpool? Like,
we could. But I think by the time we get to that stage of the season, I just think the way Arsenal will be up for it. Maybe if our players are like, we want to stop Arsenal, but I don't know. I just can't see it. But we'll see. What do you think is going to happen tonight, gents? Before the end of the show, Everton versus Liverpool. Any slip ups tonight? You think from Liverpool, or will they get the job done?
Nah, bro, they're gonna smash Everton. Don't give me this underdog mentality. And oh my god, I'm scared of Everton. They're gonna smash Everton. They're gonna win.
I think it'll be a dicey game. Like, it's at Goodison. I think Liverpool will win, but I don't think it's going to be like Liverpool are just going to run away with it. I think it's going to be really edgy and close, and Liverpool are just going to... They've got a great record against Everton.
3 goals minimum, bro. 3 goals minimum for Liverpool.
3 goals.
3 goals minimum for Liverpool. I don't know if Liverpool are going to concede or not. 3 goals minimum.
I think it'll be 2-1. I think it'll be 2-1. I think Everton might even score first. I think it's going to be. I hope you're right, Mo. I hope you're right. I want to see Liverpool win that game.
You want to see Liverpool win the league? That's what you want.
Do you know what? I would like to see Liverpool win the league. Listen, you want to see Liverpool win the league, right, Mo? Because you want to see a new winner, right? You want to see a different winner.
Yeah. For me, it's to be honest, because I want to see the world burn. I would say Arsenal win the league is for me as Mo, as a content creator, and then Liverpool and then Man City, because I believe if one of these two win the league, I think we'll have a good summer in terms of discussions and debates and stuff. If Man City win the league, I think we'll have a dead summer, in my opinion, in terms of content. So I don't want to see Man City win the league. Also, I want to see Mohamed Salah win another league title, in my opinion. I want to see Mohamed Salah. I'm Egyptian, so I want to see him win the league. But for me, I wanted Arsenal to win the double so the world would burn. I wanted that for real. And now I just want Arsenal win the league for Arsenal, because the conversation about Arteta better than Klopp stuff, the conversation about Arteta winning a league title from Pep, bro, I'm here for it.
There is no conversation.
There will be a conversation. What are you talking about?
Bro. There's nothing.
There will be a conversation if Arteta.
What has Arteta done in Europe? Oh, Europe. Let's talk about Europe.
Hold on. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but he still has time. But if Arteta wins, I'm not saying he's the same as Klopp. I'm telling you, the debates are gonna happen. That it's gonna be. But they will, and you know that.
Yeah, of course they will, but I don't think there's an argument. I don't think he's in the same.
There's a conversation to be had. 4th year. youth project, a team that can win for years to come, win the league title. And I actually had this take earlier and people hated it. I said, if Arsenal win the league, they are in a better starting place than Man City after the season. And people are, oh, but they are Pep Guardiola. I genuinely believe that. The reason why Man City fans are saying, we need 4 more signing. We need Paqueta. We need Kimmich. We need Bruno Guimaraes. Well, Arsenal, if they win the league, and they get a striker, and they get a left-sided center midfielder, which is just a replacement for Thomas Partey, Timber coming back, I believe they're in a good place. People don't want to hear that. You know why people don't want to hear that? Because that means the project has succeeded. And the banter is, phase 5. Oh, the project has failed. That's it. If Arsenal win the league, I think they're in a better place than a lot of clubs in England, including
as much as everyone says I'm bitter about Arsenal and taking Rice, you're bitter about Man City beating you in the Champions League final. You've got a Man City agenda, Mo.
I actually don't. I genuinely don't.
I'm
being honest. I'm being wallahi. I don't.
Oh,
the reason why I don't want Man City to win the league is very simple. I want to have a good summer in terms of content. And if Man City win the league, I believe the summer will be a little bit dead. The viewership is going to go down.
Manager merry-go-round.
He cares about the algorithm. He wants it for the algorithm, bro. There we go. We have a few comments here I want to put up. First one says, Johnny Minerals still red hot over Kai. Of course he is. This guy is so bitter, only hates. Sad to be you, is what Victor says. Did Lawless really believe Arsenal thrashed West Ham?
Well, yeah, but of course.
Were you bad or were Arsenal brilliant in that game?
Yeah, listen, I was there, mate. I was there, and we were bad. We were bad. I can say that we were bad. Of course, we were bad.
Right.
5-0 against their rivals, and people say Chelsea were bad, no Palmer, etc. The same Chelsea almost defeated City in the FA Cup, obviously with Palmer. I agree. Odegaard leads Europe's top 7 leagues for most open play chances created, successful passes into the area, passes into the penalty area, and successful through balls. Listen, he's been absolutely fantastic.
Because they want to. You don't understand, Comdini. He wants player of the season shout for Odegaard. He wants
they win the league. They win the league, maybe.
Declan Rice, Terry. Declan Rice.
I'll get you.
Declan Rice, Terry. Come on.
But a shout. A shout doesn't mean he's got to get it. Look, I want to thank everyone that's tuned in. We are live tonight after the Merseyside derby and Man United take on the powerhouse that is Sheffield United. We're all up for that one. Please hit the like button before you leave and subscribe. Lawless, Mo, always a pleasure to speak football with you two gentlemen. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again.